But make sure to let me know where you're tuning in from. Athletes out there, as you tune in, make sure to let me know what sport you're competing in, where you are from. And again, if you have competitions coming up, let me know when they are. And let me know if you've got any struggles that you're dealing with, anything athletically that you'd like to talk about a little bit more on this show. So we're going to get into the show in about a minute and a half here. And before we do that, though, it's Monday. Let's talk about that. If you are just tuning in, I hope you had a fantastic weekend. But if you've tuned into the show before, you know the deal, you know the drill, you know what we are trying to do with this podcast. We're here to reach athletes. We're here to reach athletes. We're here to help the athletes reach new levels of themselves in sport and in life. So if you are tuning into this, please tag another athlete in the comments, tag somebody that needs this message, tag somebody that needs to learn those little tips, those little tricks, those little things they can do in order to reach new levels in their athletic careers. So make sure you are tagging someone as you tune in. Excuse me. And in just a minute here, we are going to get the show rolling. I have another phone that I use usually for one of the streams. It is dead right now and does not seem to want to come back on. So I was hoping that would be ready to go by the time we were, but it looks like we are ready to go a little bit earlier than that. So today on the show, we're going to be talking about where you're spending your training time and talking about how to better utilize your training time and in turn, how to see more success in your sport from the time that's spent in the gym. We are getting this phone back, so it's going to be another minute before we get going. Sorry for anybody who's tuning in right now. Looking forward to the podcast. It's going to be just an extra minute so we can get up and live on Instagram as well. But in the meantime, if you're here, tag somebody in the comments and let them know that the show is about to start. Let them know what we are going to be talking about today, which is where you are spending your training time and how you can make more out of it. So as you tune in, tag someone who needs to learn how to maximize their time in the gym. And in just a minute, we're going to be ready to go. Give me one moment to get this other stream up, and then we're going to be right into the show. Just got a wink from Justin Bieber, so that's kind of cool. Some of the profiles on TikTok, man, I don't know what you people are doing, but you're out of your minds. We are just waiting on the last stream to get up and running. But as always, make sure you're tagging somebody as you tune in so that we can get more and more people on these live streams. Make sure that we are reaching more and more people with this message. And of course, we're having some difficulty getting the stream up and running. Eventually here, we will be starting up, I swear. Oh, I'm getting some people telling me that they love me. So thank you, whoever that was. Oh, good old TikTok. Momentarily here, I swear we will be up and running. So here we go. Thank you. And thank you all for those who are still here and those who are listening. We're getting into the show now, and we are going to start the podcast here in 3, 2, 1. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Elite Development Podcast, the #1 show for athletes looking to build their dream careers in sport. I'm your host, Kenny Dusseault, and today we're going to be talking about where you're spending your training time and how to maximize it. So, why did I want to bring this topic to you? Why did I think this was something important for you all to learn about? The main reason that I wanted to bring this to you is that I speak to so many athletes each and every day that, they hear my message about training smarter, about doing more recovery work, about, all these things that I talk about so much. And their initial reaction is that they tell me they're already doing too much to add anything else in. Or they tell me that, yeah, sure, that's all well and good for me to be talking about training smarter, but nobody works harder than me. So if I keep working harder than everybody, I'm gonna be the one who succeeds. And as I continue to get that message out, as I continue to push with athletes that, hey, you need to be smart about how you train. You can't just grind yourself into the ground all the time. And I keep getting more people talking about, how they're going to be successful because of their hard work. It keeps making me think, what can I do? What can I say? What angle can I take on this for people to truly understand that hard work is the baseline? If you're an athlete listening to this, I need you to understand that hard work is the baseline. If you are training hard to build a career in a sport, you're not different because you're training hard. You're not separating yourself because you're in the gym a lot. Simply training hard is not something that is going to be the difference maker for you. You're not going to rise above the rest because I work hard. So does literally everyone else. If you are out there and you're thinking that, yeah, it's all well and good for you to say that, but, if they're not doing what I'm doing, they're not doing as much as I'm doing. I'm working harder than they are. Every person in every gym that is trying to accomplish anything in this sport right now thinks the same thing. So what makes you so sure that what you're doing is different? What makes you so sure that all those other people that say they work hard, well, they don't work as hard as you? What makes you so sure of that? Because the reason that we're talking about this today, the reason we're talking about where you're spending your time training, and why you're spending your time training there, is because you're not different. You think you're different because you're working hard. You think you're different because you're doing a lot. You think you're different because you're still training and, you're in the gym later and you're in the gym earlier and this and that and the other thing. That doesn't make you different. That puts you in the room. That is the baseline. That is what is expected of you if you want to have a chance to be successful. So you might be thinking now, okay, I've kind of insulted you a little bit to start off this episode, telling you that you're not different, telling you that your hard work doesn't matter, whatever else you're taking from that message. But what I really want to get across is that I'm not sitting here telling you your hard work doesn't matter. I'm not sitting here telling you that you're not working really hard, because you are. I'm sure you are. But what I want to make sure you know is that in order to reach the next level, you need more. What you're doing right now might be working. What you're doing right now might be continuing to push you forward. What you're doing right now might have you thinking that you're doing enough and this is going to be what pushes you to the next level. But you're going to reach a certain point where it's just not. You might reach the next level right now with exactly what you're doing. But what about the level after that? The level after that? The level after that? The pros. Now, instead of just the pros, we're talking about the highest of the high levels. We're talking about the UFCs, the Bellators, the One Championships. Are you going to be as successful there as you are right now, continuing to do what you're doing, or are you going to need to level it up? I'm pretty confident to say 9 out of 10 times, probably even more, 9.5 out of 10 times, you're going to need to level it up. So if you hopefully understand now that your hard work does not separate you, you might be asking yourself, what's the next step? If my hard work isn't enough, what do I need to do beyond working hard that's going to help push me forward? Good for you. Lucky for you, I'm about to tell you. The thing you need, once you understand that the hard work does not separate you, the hard work puts you in the room, the thing you need is to understand the benefit of where you're spending your time. To understand the benefit of where you're spending your time. So as an example, I see a lot of athletes training every single day. They train 6 or 7 days a week. They're always going for long hours. They're always in the gym 3-4 hours a day. But when they fight, they still have gas tank issues. They train 4 hours a day, but somehow can't fight 9 minutes without getting fatigued. So the first place they go is they say, well, I have to double down. I got to do more. Or the other thing I see a lot is I see athletes that are dealing with injuries. They've got that nagging pain in their shoulder, or that knee that's not quite feeling good, or, the hips that are feeling extra tight, or whatever else it might be that's bugging them. And they think, no, I'm fine, whatever, I can train through this. And they just think that the answer is to double down and do more. So why do you think that the answer is always to do more? If you're an athlete listening to this, why are you sitting here thinking that if you're injured, the answer is to do more work? Or if you're getting fatigued while you fight for 9 minutes, the answer is to do 4 hours of training a day instead of 3 hours of training a day, and that's going to make the difference. Why are you sitting here thinking that? Why do you think that the answer is more instead of what I'm about to say, which is looking at what you're doing, looking at where you're spending your time? So let me explain what I mean. If you're an athlete right now and you are one of those examples that I just said, someone who's training 3 hours a day, but somehow still gets tired when they have to fight for 9 minutes. And then you think, okay, instead of training 3 hours a day, I'm going to train 4 hours a day, and that's going to make the difference. I hate to break it to you. If you're training for 3 hours and you're struggling to compete at your best for 9 minutes, the answer is not more volume. You are doing more than enough volume to prepare you for the demands of your competition. Instead, the answer is what you're doing within those 3 hours. Because if you're training your skills for 3 hours every single day, you're going to practice, you're training, but your gas tank is still an issue, then instead of spending 18 hours a week training your skills, you need to take some of that time and put in concentrated work on your gas tank. Put concentrated work in the area that you're struggling. Now, as simple as that might sound, when I lay it out, this is the thing that so many athletes are missing. This is the thing that so many athletes aren't willing to do. They don't want to take time away from their skill set because they think if I take any time away from my skill set at all, my skill set's going to suffer and I'm not going to succeed. If you're here right now and that resonates with you, drop me a comment, let me know. Or if you're listening back to this later, just give a little head nod and let me know that you're with me. So many athletes out there, to repeat that, don't want to take any time away from their skill set because they think if I'm not training my skills are going to suffer. And if my skills suffer, I'm going to lose. But let's look at that another way. If you're training your skill set right now, as an example, you're training 3 hours a night, 6 days a week. So if you're training your skill set for 18 hours a week right now, and you're struggling to fight for 9 minutes at a high pace, what do you think is going to make the most difference? Continuing to train your skill set for 18 hours a week and continuing to struggle to fight at a high pace for 9 minutes, or taking away 1 or 2 of those skill set sessions and doing some concentrated work on building your gas tank up. And as your gas tank improves, that allows you to fight for longer, which means that the continued training in your skill set is now going to be backed up by a gas tank that can push for the duration of your fight. What do you think is going to be the most benefit? I see a comment coming in right now. It's a problem. I always think I need to do more work, but I really need to prioritize what's important. And man, that could not be more true. But the big thing here, and I want to really touch on that, instead of just trying to do more work, prioritizing the work that's important. So if you're an athlete listening to this right now, I want you to really understand that point. I want you to really understand that it's not about just adding more. It's not about just adding more. It's about prioritizing what you're doing. So if you're training 18 hours a week, instead of just trying to add more and trying to add more and trying to add more, what I want you to do is the following. The first thing I want you to do is figure out where you struggle. And I don't simply mean where you struggle in terms of skill set, but figure out where you struggle most. This can be mentally, this can be physically, if you've got any injuries, nagging pains, anything like that. This can be skill set, or this can be physically as far as, your power to overwhelm your opponent, or this can be physically in the way of your conditioning to go for the entire duration of your fight. Think about where you struggle the most. If you're here right now, drop it in a comment. If you can be honest with yourself, this is the way we improve. So if you're here right now, drop it in a comment. Where do you struggle the most when it comes to your fighting right now? not necessarily skill set. It could be skill set. It could be physically. It could be mentally. Whatever it is, let me know. Because if you can be honest with this, then I'm going to tell you how to fix the problem. What you need to do is you need to audit your training week and take some time away from the things that you're already really good at and put that time into the areas you're struggling. The way I like to look at that with my athletes, it's plugging the hole in the armor. Every single person that walks through the doors of my gym, or every single person that I'm working with virtually, is a beast. They're already strong. They're already fast. They're already powerful. So when it comes to my job as their strength and conditioning coach, and for you, when it comes to your career as an athlete, the way to be successful is to look at where you're struggling and to plug the hole in the armor. So right now, if you are a very skilled fighter, if you've got a good skill set, if you understand the martial arts that you're competing in, but you struggle to compete for the whole duration of your fight without getting tired, what are you doing specifically to fix that? Take skills out of the equation. What are you doing to fix that endurance problem that you're having? Because if you're not putting concentrated work into fixing the endurance problem that you're having, they're going to continue. The endurance problems are going to continue. And in turn, as you continue to fight, your skills might be getting better. But if you can only implement those skills for a minute and then you start to gas out, I don't care how good you are, you're not making a career out of this. So look at where you struggle the most and take time away from the areas that you're the best and put it specifically into those areas of struggle. Prioritize what's important, recovery and strength. Now, the next thing I want you to understand is that by doing this, your skill set is not going to go away. So let me explain what I mean. People think that if I take time away from training skills, then my skill set's going to diminish. And if my skill set diminishes, I'm not going to win. Does that resonate with you? If you're here right now, let me know if you feel that. Let me know if when I say that, it does worry you about taking some time away from your skill set. Because people think that the skill set's going to go away, but this is what I want you to understand. Your brain only has a certain amount of mental bandwidth. You can only take in a certain amount of knowledge. So if you are training your skills repeatedly for 18 hours a week, you're at the gym 3 hours a day, 6 days a week, which I know isn't uncommon. But even for you, if it's not that much, whatever the number is for you, if you're at the gym that much, taking hours away from your skill set is not going to diminish your skill set. Because the chances are from that 18 hours, you're not taking in new information the whole time you're there. Some of that practice is just going through the motions. Some of that practice is just hitting the bag for the sake of hitting the bag. Some of that practice is spending time by the speed bag, just mindlessly spinning through reps just to say that you checked off your 30 minutes on the speed bag today. So if you're taking time away from those things in order to put concentrated effort into somewhere that you're weak, how could that possibly be a bad thing? How could it possibly be a bad thing? You're not doing less work. You're prioritizing what's important. You're not doing less work. You're prioritizing your areas of weakness to set you up for success in the future. So to summarize that, number one, you need to figure out where you're struggling. This can be mentally, this can be physically, this can be with a certain area of your skill set. Wherever it is, you need to figure out where you're struggling. Number two, you need to take time away from the areas that you're the best right now and put extra time into reinforcing the holes in your game, extra time into plugging the hole in the armor. And then number three, you need to understand that taking time away from your skill set, if you're training properly right now, is not going to make your skill set diminish. It might make your skill set advance at a slightly lower rate than it is right now. But even then, if your skill set is continuing to get better, even if it's a little slower than it is right now, but your gas tank is getting better, your strength, your power, your speed is getting better at a way faster rate, now as you continue to fight at higher levels, you're going to be a stronger athlete, a faster athlete, a more explosive athlete. You're going to be doing all these things better. And in turn, you're going to be able to implement your skill set at a higher level. And in turn, you're going to continue to win higher level fights by simply taking time away from the skill work and adding it into whatever areas you're struggling with. I really hope that makes sense. I really hope you're able to take something away from this. If you were, make sure to let me know down in the comments if you are here live or with a review of the show if you are listening back to this later. But that is it. That is all for me. I appreciate you all taking the time to tune in. My number one ask of you, if you have not tuned into the show before, go check it out, The Elite Development Podcast, on all major podcast platforms, or you can check it out at the website, www.elitedevelopmentpodcast.ca. And if you have tuned into the show before and you've gotten some value, make sure that you're sharing this with a teammate, sharing this with a friend, sharing this with someone who needs to hear this message. So thank you again. I appreciate you for tuning in, and I'm looking forward to talking to you all again very soon.